The 6-4 Detroit Lions are tied atop the NFC North, and today, Calvin Johnson and company host the Tampa Bay Bucks, who've won 2 straight. Tom Brenneman, Brian Billick, and Laura Oakman have the call live from Motown.
Kurt, thank you. A sellout on hand naturally at Ford Field in downtown Detroit, Michigan. Their Lions are thinking about the playoffs, but first things first, they come in at 6-4 to battle the 2-8 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And hi again, everybody, alongside Brian Billick and Laura Oakman. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to the NFL on Fox. The Buccaneers, as you probably know, began the year at 0-8. But all of a sudden, they've won 2 in a row and look good doing it. Defense is playing very well. They're running the ball. And Mike Glennon, their rookie quarterback, so far so good. Meanwhile, for the Lions, they have not won a divisional championship since 1993. And to do that, Brian, they can't have games today like the one we saw when they stubbed their toe in Pittsburgh last Sunday.
Well, that was a missed opportunity in Pittsburgh, and they can't come home against a 2-8 Buccaneer team and expect to win unless they play better. Now, and don't turn the channel on this, okay? Tampa Bay's pretty good. They really are just a few plays away from being 6-4. As you said, they're running the ball very well. That's perfect for their rookie quarterback, Mike Glennon. Play action fake. Get the ball down the field to Vincent Jackson. But what everybody wants to know today are the Buccaneers going to take Calvin Johnson and put him on Revis Island. That would be huge to slowing down this explosive Detroit Lion offense and maybe make Reggie Bush renege on his promise not to fumble again this year.
This has a chance to be a good one here today. When we come back, Laura Oakman will talk about the return of Nate Burleson and what that means for the Lions. They host the Buccaneers. You're watching the NFL on Fox.
Welcome back to Ford Field. After missing 7 games, Nate Burleson is back in the lineup today. For 4 weeks, Burleson wore a 25-pound vest, running routes and catching tennis balls. He couldn't catch a football because of that broken forearm, saying it helped strengthen his grip and his hand-eye coordination. This past week, he had 50 balls thrown to him and dropped only 1, saying, "My hands have never been stronger and my legs have never been fresher." Perfect timing. The last time Calvin Johnson faced Darrelle Revis, Calvin had just 1 catch for 13 yards. Burleson, he had 7 catches for 113 yards and a touchdown. Said, "Nate, I feel like a little kid before Christmas. I hope to have a profound impact on today's game, physically and emotionally." Lions and Bucks next.
Fox Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
We are so very blessed to be playing this one indoors at Ford Field because it is some kind of cold outside. That 22-degree temperature does not include the wind chill, which is somewhere in the single digits. Greg Schiano, 47 years old, New Jersey native. In his second year, took over a team which lost its final 10 games in 2011, won 7 games last year, then a tough start this year. For Jim Schwartz, 47 years old as well, grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. He took over a winless team in 2008. They went from 2 wins to 6 wins to the playoffs 2 years ago, before losing, Brian, their last 8 games of the season last year, now in the hunt once again.
Yeah, this Tampa Bay team is on a 2-game winning streak that really should have been 3, Tom. They really did have Seattle beat in Seattle, a tough place to play, before losing in overtime.
Jim Schwartz, by the way, making a coach's decision. No Michael Spurlock today. He is inactive, so Jeremy Ross, second-year wide receiver out of Cal, will return kicks and punts today. And Michael Kanan set to kick it away. Tampa Bay won the toss, deferred to get the football until the second half, and Ross 5 yards out of his own end zone. And not a good decision. He's tackled at the 17. Matthew Stafford coming off a very rough game, an odd game really last week in Pittsburgh. But you look what he's done through his first 55 games, the fastest quarterback in NFL history to eclipse 16,000 yards. game last week, very strange. He's got Nate Burleson back for the first time since he broke his forearm. That was after week 3, and he was coming off his best game of the season. Stafford to throw it on first down and just throws it at the ground. It looked like they were thinking about the screen, but Reggie Bush was knocked down to the turf.
Well, offensively for Detroit, Dominic Raiola, 13 years. He's going to anchor an offensive line that's got 2 rookies on it, Reggie Bush, Calvin Johnson, and you mentioned Nate Burleson's back. That is huge for the Detroit Lions to be that counterbalance to Calvin Johnson.
Reggie Bush, and he is thrown to the deck by Adrian Claiborne. 3rd-year #1 pick out of the University of Iowa. And this is a good Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense.
Yeah, it starts inside with Gerald McCoy. They got a good pass rush from Adrian Claiborne. Levante David's playing very well for them. And Darrelle Revis, as we said, is he going to shadow Calvin Johnson? We're going to be watching that all day long.
Now we have to make note they're missing 2 of their best performers on defense today. Deshaun Golton, their safety, is suspended this week. And their 3rd-year middle linebacker, Mason Foster, was injured last week, will not play today. 3rd down and 12. Stafford in big trouble. Gets away, and it's incomplete. So a good start for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It is 3 and out.
Well, you talked about the players that aren't up for Tampa Bay. Obviously, Deshaun Golson, that's a big one on the back end because Mark Barron's obviously an excellent safety. They're going to match Darrelle Revis on Calvin Johnson. They're just not going to do it every play.
Eric Page waiting on the Sam Martin punt, and man, he hammered it. Fair catch at the 32-yard line. It looked like he had a little room to return that. There is a penalty flag down on the field. Lee Blakeman, our referee today. That was a 53-yard punt by the rookie Sam Martin. Well, what a nice pickup he has been.
There is no holding on the play by the receiving team. The player was not thrown to the ground. 1st down, Tampa Bay.
So 1st down for the Buccaneers. They'll start this drive at their 33-yard line. Mike Glennon's 23 years old. Grew up in Fairfax County, Virginia. Signed as a backup to Josh Freeman. First 3 weeks of the season, that's where he was. Took over as a starter week 4 against Arizona. 11 touchdowns against 4 interceptions. And this is Bobby Rainey coming off that electrifying 163-yard rushing day last week.
Glennon's an interesting prospect. They list him at 6'7". He's really closer to 6'8". And he's got that long, elongated arm, kind of a long stroke, we call it. But I tell you what, he's very accurate. He gets the ball out quicker than you think he does. And so far, he's been very poised and calm as a starting quarterback in the National Football League.
2nd down and 8. Play action to Rainey. Good protection for Glennon. And a dangerous throw there. I got an eye on Tyquan Underwood. It's 3rd down.
Well, Tampa Bay is all about running the ball, and it begins up front with Donald Penn and Davin Joseph, both former Pro Bowlers, and it's a 2-headed monster at the running back, Bobby Rainey and Brian Leonard. Leonard primarily on 1st and 2nd down. Rainey, the 3rd down back, can also catch the ball out of the backfield.
Leonard in the backfield on his 3rd down. He has 22 receptions out of the backfield. Blitz coming. Lennon steps up, nowhere near the intended receiver Underwood. So like the Lions, it is 3 and out on offense for the Buccaneers.
What Mike Glennon's got to get used to is the inside pass rush. You can see here, this is just a 4-man rush. The middle linebacker comes up just to eyeball Leonard in the backfield, and the pocket collapses not only on the edges but up front. That's something that Glennon worked all week on in terms of that inside pass rush, stepping from side to side.
Kanan puts a foot on it, and it's Ross from the 18-yard line. Good return for Ross. Out across the 40. Across midfield and all the way into Buccaneers territory in the 40-yard line. A 47-yard punt, but a 44-yard return. And the Lions are in business.
And I want you to watch how he hits this with just speed. Watch the acceleration. You can see he gets just a little bit of a gap here. They walled it off, and right there, he kind of turns on the afterburners. He had a chance to go to the kicker, kind of said, look, I'll just get in the way. I'll let the other guys make the tackle. But, boy, he showed some speed on that return.
Stafford on a shotgun at the Buccaneers 40. Crossing pattern, and that is reception by Nate Burleson. First game since mid-September. And, boy, they're thrilled to have this 11-year veteran back.
And they're going some no-huddle, Tom. They took a page out of the Pittsburgh playbook last week, trying to tempo it to slow down the package of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Reggie Bush trying to get to the first down marker. Very, very close. Needed to get to the 30-yard line. Of course, Burleson, his first 3 seasons in the NFL with Minnesota. Went to Seattle for 4 years. This is his 4th year in Detroit. He broke his leg, you may remember, week 3 last year. But his first 2 years with the Lions, this is a guy who averaged over 60 receptions per year. That's a big part of your offense to not have around for the better part of 2 months. 3rd down and less than a yard. Looked like the rookie Akeem Spence came into the neutral zone.
Encroachment. Defense, number 97. 5-yard penalty is enough for a first down.
And it's that kind of lack of discipline that has haunted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. You can see right here with the penalties that has been a problem, particularly on 3rd down. And again, Detroit's going in and out of the no huddle.
On the 25-yard line, swing it out to Reggie Bush. And right there in coverage with him to run him out of bounds is Adam Hayward after a very short game, maybe 3 yards.
And I like this, Tom. They're going in and out of the no huddle. It's one thing to run no huddle. That tests the defense. But when you go in and out of it, you huddle. Then you no huddle a couple of plays. Then you huddle. Now defense doesn't know, what are we doing here? Who do we have in? That can cause some confusion.
That ball batted into the air and appeared to be intercepted before it hit the ground by Levante David. He's back up on his feet to the 22-yard line, and that is an interception.
And Nate Burleson was sitting there standing at it, made no effort to jump on it. Be interesting to see if he thought it hit the ground. Ooh, boy, that may bring about a review.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
They had determined it was an interception. They did not even come out and look at it on the sideline. Immediately deemed that it was an interception by Levante David.
Well, because it was ruled an interception, it looks like he gets his hand underneath it, and the key is control. Did he use the ground to control the ball? Here you can see he's got his hands underneath it. The ball doesn't appear to move, and as long as he doesn't use the ground to control it, it is indeed an interception.
Just an outstanding year for David, who is quickly becoming one of the best young linebackers, best linebackers, period, in the NFL. Didn't take him long. They pitch it to Rainey with running room, flag down, and there might be a reason why there was so much running room.
Well, typically, Tampa Bay is a between the tackles team.
Holding. Offense, number 79. 10-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Jamon Meredith, the left guard, filling in for Carl Nix.
Yeah, and as I said, the left guard up into here, they don't typically go outside. And as he goes down, looks like he just kind of wrapped up. Typically, they work to the outside. This is a team, like I said, that likes to work between the tackles. When they pitch outside like that, that is definitely a tendency breaker for them.
So rather than having the ball in the first down beyond the 35, it is 2nd down and 17 from the 15-yard line. Rainey looking for some room and none there. Third down coming up right now. Let's take a game break and check in back in Los Angeles with Kurt Menefee.
Rams off to a great start against the Bears. Third play from scrimmage. Tavon Austin gets a couple of blocks, takes the 65 yards for a touchdown. Bears get the ball back, fumbled at the 7-yard line, and so the Rams are marching again, already up 7-0. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
Tom, Tavon Austin was the 8th pick of the draft. Some people question, including me, what kind of impact he'd have as a legitimate receiver. But I tell you what, he's beginning to show up the last 2 or 3 games.
Third down and 15. Lay it off to their tight end. But well short of the first down is Tim Wright. And once again, Glennon under heavy pressure.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense number 98. Low hit on the quarterback. 15 yards from the end of the line. First down, Tampa.
It's Nick Fairley again.
Well, you're going to see a stunt in here. They're going to come around here. He opens up that outside. Nick Fairley, or at least a reverse stunt. And then as the ball goes out, he hit too low. We've seen this time again. You can't hit high. You can't initiate your contact below the knee. The official there determining that it was clearly below the knee. And right now, he's not buying it.
Are you buying it?
You know, it's such a gray area. We've seen it before. Does it start at the thigh and work down? Where does the contact actually come? And as a defender, as you're coming in, where I'm aiming and where I end up can be 2 different things sometimes.
Automatic first down up to the 43-yard line. Second possession of the game for the Buccaneers. And once more, they give it to Rainey. And once more, just nowhere to go. Palmer there, Ansah there. Bottled up so far is Rainey. Let's check in downstairs with Laura Oakman.
Tom, obviously fairly frustrated with that last call. Also hurting right now. The last offensive series for the Lions, Fairley was getting work on his right knee done the entire time. A battery of tests, spots running on the eye, then they put the right brace over the right knee, let him go back in. It's something to watch.
All right, Laura, thank you. This week they're getting Ezekiel Ansah back for the first time in 3 weeks with an ankle injury. Catch made by the rookie tight end Tim Wright. That'll bring it up to the 48-yard line and bring up a third down and 5 for Tampa Bay.
Well, this Lions defense has a lot of big-name players on it. It's been fairly productive, but some people are questioning why not more productive. Nick Fairley, we just talked about. Ziggy Ansah on the outside, and Devin Taylor, who's been playing a lot in the absence of Ansah, has really showed his presence. And Chris Houston on the outside, just like on the other side of the ball with Calvin Johnson. Vincent Jackson can do some damage. He may get the call to cover him all day.
Lennon stays in the pocket and once again finds his tight end Wright, who's really coming on as this season progresses. 28 receptions in his last 6+ games.
And he really is the counterbalance to Vincent Jackson, who I just spoke about. And you visit with Mike Glennon, he says, I know Tim Wright better than anybody because we spent a lot of time on that second team during training camp when Josh Freeman was here working with the Vincent Jacksons. Then obviously Mike Glennon, he was working with Tim Wright and knows him very, very well, very comfortable throwing to him.
They're getting Tom Crabtree, the other tight end, healthier. And he may be used today. And around to Sky Dawson. And he's lucky to get beyond the line of scrimmage. That could have been a huge loss.
DeAndre Levy did a nice job of making sure of containing, not buying on the fake on the inside. Levy has played very well the last few weeks.
Levy not only playing it against a run, you're talking about a guy who's a co-leader in the NFL with 5 interceptions.
Yeah, he and Stephen Tulloch. Tulloch has played very well the last 2 weeks as well. Really turned into a very good, solid inside linebacking core.
Rainey pushing forward close to the 40-yard line. Of course, it's all about Rainey mania right now in Tampa, and you can understand why. Had the star-studded career at Western Kentucky, signed as a college free agent with Baltimore, was on their practice squad, got hurt, put on IR, went to Cleveland behind Trent Richardson. Tampa Bay signed him at the end of October. And in just his 10th NFL game last week, 30 carries, 163 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Leonard replaces Rainey on third down. What a catch again by the tight end, Tim Wright. And that'll be a first down for the Buccaneers down to the Lions' 25-yard line. Good throw.
Mike Glennon puts this thing on the proverbial frozen rope, leads him just enough and low to the outside to be safe. That is a heck of a catch with the outstretched arms of Tim Wright. You can tell these two have been together for a little while now, all but rookies. And Wright, an undrafted free agent from Rutgers. A lot of Rutgers players on this team, given Coach Schiano's background.
Schiano was there for 11 years before he left to come into the National Football League. And now a timeout will be called by the Buccaneers. So they're on the move. No score midway through this opening quarter in Detroit.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
What an impressive drive for these Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A drive which began at their own 22. It was aided on the personal foul penalty against Nick Fairley.
Yeah, and that's always difficult for a coach to understand when these types of fouls keep a drive alive.
First down, they're going to throw it. And sacked for the first time today is Glennon. And welcome back Zeke Alonso. #1 pick out of BYU.
Just the sheer raw athleticism off the edge. Starts on the outside like a power rush and then slips to the outside and throws Glennon down. When you get the inside gobbled up with Fairley and Sue, it opens up the edge rushers.
Which is why it's a surprise the Lions come into this game with only one team who averages fewer number of sacks per play in the league than they do. Rainey on a second down carry picks up a pair. Tulloch and Levy there. They call him vertically challenged. Bobby Rainey at 5'8". I know the feeling, so my heart warms up to these guys.
Yeah, well, that 5'8" is a lot different than your 5'8", let me tell you. And you can already see with the inside running game of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it is easy to lose sight of Rainey, particularly when he gets in behind that big fullback, Eric Laura.
Third down at 19. Crossing pattern. Catch made by Vincent Jackson down to the 20-yard line. They fail to get the first down, but they have a chance to kick a field goal, and out comes Ryan Lundell.
Well, the Lions are moving Ndamukong Suh all over the place on the outside, but it's not helping right now. Mike Glennon having all the time he needs in the pocket. These shallow crossing routes to Tim Wright and Vincent Jackson are doing a lot of damage right now to Detroit.
Lundell 15 out of 18. This will be a 38-yard field goal attempt. Good snap, good hold, and a good kick. Nice solid drive for Coach Schiano's Buccaneers in an early 3-0 lead.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Ford. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost, fuel economy, and a whole lot more. By Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving. And by the all-in-one Xbox One. Jump ahead.
Buccaneers chew up nearly 8 minutes on that 13-play drive, capped off by a Ryan Lundell 38-yard field goal. And how about young Mr. Glennon? Perfect 5 out of 5. Don't forget the big penalty on Fairley kept it going.
And this is the kind of game they want to play. Run on the inside, a few passes down the field, a tightly orchestrated game to keep the talented and explosive Detroit Lion offense off the field.
Lions had the big punt return by that man, Jeremy Ross. But Matthew Stafford was intercepted in the red zone. And Ross will take a knee this time. Stafford and the Lions will try and regroup and rev up the offensive engine. You're watching the NFL on Fox.
Well, we wondered if Darrelle Revis was going to travel with Calvin Johnson, and so far he's gone with him every single play, and with not a lot of help over the top by the safeties.
They've only locked up against one another in one game back when Revis played for the Jets. That was Johnson's rookie year. He only had 1 catch for 13 yards. This one to the tight end, Brandon Pettigrew. And that's up to the 24-yard line.
Well, the measurables, when you look at here, you go, what is a mismatch? 6'5" versus 5'11". Obviously, both have decent vertical jumps. But when you add this wingspan with the vertical jump, with the size, it looks like a mismatch. But Darrelle Revis has such a sense of timing. He's such a great athlete. They're very comfortable, obviously, going one-on-one with Calvin Johnson.
They call it a gain of 5, so second down and 5 for the Lions. And Reggie Bush once more met head on by Adrian Claiborne. Got to go back to 2010, the only time they've gotten together.
Well, Jim Schwartz told us in that matchup, now this was a young Calvin Johnson that did not have a lot of routes in his repertoire because it was just go vertical. He's a different receiver now, but so far, Darrelle Revis, what surprises me is they're not even attempting anything over here. I'll be shocked if they don't take a shot down the field as long as he's not getting safety help over the top.
Well, first things first, they're trying to convert a third down and 6 or go 3 and out for the second time in this game. Pump fake. Stafford looking around. Finds an open receiver up to the 32, and that is Burleson for a first down. And we throw it to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.
And who would have thunk? Scott Tolzien running today so far. The quarterback for the Packers scrambling. And then how about a little spin move? 6-yard touchdown. Put the Packers up 7-3 on the Vikings in the first quarter. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
You know, Tolzien threw those 2 very bad interceptions last week, Brian, but overall, well over 300 yards, high completion percentage, his first game last week.
So you're saying there's a quarterback controversy in Green Bay?
I would never dare say such a thing. Of course, the Packers will be coming here. And that'll be a huge game on Thanksgiving Day, a game you watch right here on Fox. And Reggie Bush up to the 36-yard line. That'll be a gain of 4 on first down.
Well, we're already seeing, we're so focused on Calvin Johnson and Darrelle Revis being on him, but we're already seeing Nate Burleson showing up, Reggie Bush is showing up. That's the challenge in facing the Detroit Lion offense. But as long as they can just put one guy on Calvin Johnson, they ought to be able to match up much better. That's why I say I'd be very surprised if we don't see a shot by Matthew Stafford, even though that is Darrelle Revis, down to Calvin Johnson. He's got to test it.
They're locked up down at the bottom of your screen. This second down and 6. And thrown behind a bit to Johnson. And clearly miscommunication in the Tampa Bay secondary because he was all alone in the middle of the defense.
Well, he's just going to run a slant here, and this is one of the times that Revis isn't going with the man-for-man. But Jonathan Casillas jumped. The linebacker jumps in underneath. I think that's why the ball was a little bit behind, because had he hit him in dead stride, he might have had to deal with the linebacker. That's just a missed throw, a missed opportunity, because you're only going to get so many shots to Calvin Johnson if you're going to stay away from him because of Darrelle Revis, excuse me.
Final 34 seconds of this opening quarter. 3-0 Tampa Bay. They fake one way, come back to Burleson the other way, and he's off to the races. Inside the 40, and stripped of the football, or did he hang on to it? That ball trickled out of bounds. It belongs to the Lions.
He's all the way on the outside, and these are these type of get it in the hands quick wide receiver screens. And look at the lineman downfield. Dominic Raiola coming from the center position all the way downfield to take out the outside corner. And this is Nate Burleson. As you can see why they wanted him back so desperately. Boy, they're lucky that thing went out of bounds. Remember, the injury was the broken arm. His legs are fine. How strong are the arms?
That'll be the final play in this opening quarter. A big first quarter for Burleson. 3 catches, 47 yards, and Detroit on the move when we return.
You're watching the NFL on Fox.
I tell you what, you can travel all across America, whether it's a sporting event, whether it's a park, in whatever town you may live in. And I guarantee you there's some tears in the eyes of players on the field right now after what we just saw a short moment ago. Michigan native Marine Captain John Muncie surprising his wife and 3 children on the field as the Lions made arrangements. They had him up on the video board as though he was sending a message back to his family here in the game today. And unbeknownst to his wife and children and family, he came walking out of the end zone to the surprise, as you can see. I'll tell you what, it's hard not to tear up just watching that scene.
There's not a dry eye in the house, and we're going to see this once we get back from this play.
Captain Muncy lost a spleen, a kidney, and almost his entire life in his first overseas tour in Iraq. First down for the Lions. And wide open is Burleson again in the middle of the field. And that is the first down to the 18-yard line. Captain Muncy, even after that terrible injury, continues to serve his country. Twice he has been deployed to Afghanistan. And here he is with his wife and children here today. What a moment here at Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. Reggie Bush trying to avoid Claiborne. Slips by him, but is met after maybe a 2-yard gain, and a penalty flag comes in on the play.
Holding. Offense, number 66. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
It's a rookie right tackle, Adrian Waddle, starting now his 3rd straight game.
This is just an inside trap game that sometimes those edge rushers don't have a sense as they begin to fall back into it. The running game's been so huge for the Detroit Lions. For no other reason, it opens up the throws to Calvin Johnson. But right now, he's been targeted 4 times. But they're not going over there because Darrelle Revis so far has him shut out.
And that's 4 times in the last 3 quarters. You may remember he had the monster first half in Pittsburgh last week, and then Johnson did not catch a single pass in the second half, and he has one now. Down inside the 10-yard line. First catch of the game for Calvin Johnson.
Obviously down here. Same play we saw a minute ago that was thrown behind Calvin Johnson. Darrelle Revis is throwing him off to the inside to a degree, waiting for inside help. And Levante David didn't get into the passing lane the way Jonathan Casillas did. And this is the kind of throw they need to get the ball to Calvin Johnson. Underneath throw that turns into a bigger play.
19 yards, 3rd down and 1. The 2nd and 1 after the penalty. Bush very close to picking up the first down depending on the spot. It appears he might be just short. And they're going to double check.
Red zone offense and red zone defense. Every defensive coordinator in the league will tell you, if I'm going to be good someplace, it's in red zone defense. Hold them to field goals instead of touchdowns. That's obviously a priority for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Greg Schiano, a defensive coach by training, knows the importance of that, particularly against an explosive offense like the Detroit Lions that's going to get down into the red zone.
So 3rd down and inches now for Jim Schwartz.
This is typically where they'd like to put Joik Bell in, the little bit bigger back, but of course he's nursing the leg injury from last week in Pittsburgh. So they got to rely on Reggie Bush, who obviously is going to be good, but not carrying the same poundage as they do when they bring Joik Bell in as the big hammer at 225 pounds.
He's good looking back, isn't he?
He is, and he catches the ball well out of the backfield as well. All these backs do. Reggie Bush.
They're going to empty the backfield.
Well, that could mean a quarterback draw. Or a sneak.
It is. They'll just keep it. Plow straight ahead. And it's a first down to the 6-yard line.
And that's just on a check. We saw Stafford against Dallas pull off something right on the 1-inch line. Not an audible call, just going off on his own. But there he saw the number count right. Saw nothing in front of him. Just walked up, got the quick snap count. An easy first down.
Saw Bell check into the game. He injured that Achilles in the third quarter last week. He had carried it 9 times for 49 yards and a touchdown against the Steelers before getting hurt.
Remember the size that the Detroit Lions have on the outside.
Welcome back indeed, Nate Burleson. What a start to this game. 5 catches and now a touchdown for almost 70 yards in the game.
Well, I talked about the size on the outside. They got to double out to take away Calvin Johnson. Right here in the slot, ends up going one-on-one. He delivered this touchdown a lot better than he did that pizza when he broke his arm.
Of course, that was a running joke here in Detroit when very late at night after a game, the best game he had ever had as a Lion. He went out to pick up a couple of pizzas, had him in the front seat and the passenger side, trying to keep him from falling off. Wrecks a car, breaks his arm. Now he's delivering touchdowns. Nate Burleson, first game back since week 3, and that is his first touchdown here in 2013. Rock solid drive there by the Lions after the turnover in the red zone, their last possession.
And that's the challenge for Tampa Bay. They cannot be trading field goals for touchdowns against this explosive Detroit Lion offense.
And pretty much Burleson or bust. 3 other catches, including a big 19-yarder by Calvin Johnson, his only catch of the day on that last drive. Matthew Stafford now 12 consecutive games where he has thrown a touchdown pass. Taking a knee is Eric Page, and the Buccaneers start from the 20. Detroit leading 7-3.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Moto X, designed by you, assembled in the USA. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Miller Lite, it's not just a good time, it's Miller time.
Welcome back to Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan, and Brian, 7-3 Detroit in front. You brought up earlier, this Tampa Bay offense has been averaging almost 28 points per game during this month of November. They need touchdowns today and not the field goal.
They do. They want to control the tempo with the running game. They're doing that a little bit. Nice long drive, but they can't trade that touchdown field goal ratio. They're going to need a few big plays down the field, primarily to Vincent Jackson, to keep up with Detroit.
Their last drive, they went 58 yards, 13 plays, and now looking for the home run ball to Jackson. And he caught it inside the 35-yard line. He beat Rasheed Mathis along the sideline. And what a catch by Vincent Jackson. There is a penalty flag on the play down the field.
Illegal contact. Defense number 31. Penalties decline. First down, Tampa.
Well, Rasheed Mathis, we talk about the size and speed of Calvin Johnson. Well, you know what? Vincent Jackson's pretty big at 6'5", 230. Not quite the leaper that Calvin Johnson is, but this guy's got great hands, even with the illegal hold. Great concentration coming down with the ball. Well, I appreciate them taking the vertical shot. I said they needed it.
47 yards. He started the I formation and hand to Rainey, and he is level. Clothesline by Ndamukong Suh.
He just collapsed from the inside here. You're going to see him right here. He's just going to collapse this thing. Blows through before the pulling guard. You could see Jamon Meredith tried to get there on the trap, stumbled a little bit, couldn't get there. This gave Ndamukong Suh a free run at Bobby Rainey. They're lucky it wasn't a turnover.
So a loss of 3 will bring up second down and 13. Back in the hands of Rainey. Breaks a couple of tackles. And shot down inside the 30, down to the 26-yard line. It'll bring up a third down and 2. And we check in with Kurt Menefee.
All right, Miami trying to end the winning streak of the Carolina Panthers. This is one way to do it. Ryan Tannehill rolling out. Nice catch by Mike Wallace. 53 yards on the score. Only his second touchdown since becoming a Dolphin, but is good enough to give him a 7-3 lead in the second quarter. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
Well, like this guy, man, this game, Miami needs to take a bunch of those shots because that Carolina defense, we've had a lot, Tom. They're pretty stout. You're not going to run the ball real well against that group.
3rd down and 3. Lennon with all day to throw and finds the open receiver, and that is a 1st down inside the 10-yard line to Tyquan Underwood. Only his 11th catch of this entire year.
This is way too much time for Mike Glennon. He eventually has to go outside the pocket, but there again on the run, very accurate throw. You can see the long stroke of Mike Glennon, that long arm. And sometimes looks slower than it is. He's just a big man. It's the same way with the big man running. The stride looks slower, but he's got a very accurate ball down the field.
Great start for Glennon, coming off hitting on 87% of his passes in that 41-point effort against Atlanta last week. And Rainey inside the 10, down to the 7-yard line. Good game last week when Glennon hit on 20 out of 23. The 87% completion percentage in that game is the best single game mark for any quarterback in the NFL this year. Not rookies, anybody.
Well, all I'm looking for in a rookie quarterback, does the game look too big for him? That's not the case with Mike Glennon. Very calm, very poised, seems in control.
Take it to Rainey. And Underwood with a touchdown for Tampa Bay. So the first play on the possession, they hit the 47-yarder to Vincent Jackson. It's capped off by the touchdown, the 2nd of the year to Underwood, and Glennon hitting on 8 of his last 8.
Well, Rasheed Mathis gave up the big play to Calvin Johnson, or excuse me, on the outside to Vincent Jackson. Now Tyquan Underwood does a nice job setting up outside. Mike Glennon had plenty of time again to come all the way back in the pocket, wait it out, because that route takes a while to develop.
Underwood, a guy they had on their team last year. They cut him this year, brought him back when Mike Williams got hurt. Today playing in his 8th game. And a touchdown throw from Glennon, who's now done it in 8 starts, an NFL rookie record to start his career. Well, Mr. Billick, we said the Buccaneers need touchdowns, and that took all of 3 minutes and 8 seconds to get into the end zone.
And how did they do it? The big play down to Vincent Jackson, obviously, then ran it down into the red zone. And then that last little throw, just the offensive line giving Mike Glennon plenty of time. The one thing you want to do with the rookie, you want to rush him a little bit. So far, he's not being rushed at all.
Jeremy Ross once more will bring it out from deep in his own end zone, and this time is able to get up to the 19-yard line. Well, coming up on Fox College Saturday, the 28th meeting between Notre Dame and number 9 Stanford. Cardinal trying to get into a BCS game. Fighting Irish looking to cap off their regular season with an upset win. Saturday, 6:30 Eastern, only on Fox.
You know what, I'm from Stanford. I love those matchups with Notre Dame. Who'd have thought that of those two teams, Stanford would be the more physical? You're stunned, I can tell. You're not buying it, but you're stunned.
Well, I don't know how in the world anybody could disagree with that. Stanford has had another outstanding year, and there's a big hole for Reggie Bush. And he's wrapped up to the 34-yard line, a 14-yard gain on 1st down. Of course, around here, the headline of the Detroit Free Press for both Michigan schools. Michigan this Saturday, Michigan State in the Big Ten title game here on Fox. It says, bring on the Buckeyes. And as I always like to say, be very careful what you wish for.
I knew we were going to get an Ohio State reference on that one. Nate Burleson, by the way, did a great job setting out that run by Reggie Bush.
First big run of the game, and they hand it off to Burleson. And well, I tell you, this Claiborne's off to a good start here today. Also Leonard Johnson there on the tackle.
Well, we start out talking about the Darrell Reeves versus Calvin Johnson. You can see Reeves is one-on-one with him. staying step for step, goes to the outside with help over the top, drops him into coverage because it's a zone. You're not going to play man-to-man every route. And on that one, expected more help from the inside and didn't get it. And what did we expect? If you're going to spend that much time worrying about Calvin Johnson, all of a sudden we now see Nate Burleson. We see Reggie Bush.
They fake to Bush, crossing pattern, and now we see Chris Durham for the first time. And he's across midfield down to the 47-yard line. There is a penalty flag in the backfield. This might be a late hit on Teo Nesson.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense, number 23. Low to the head of the quarterback. 15 yards, first down.
Well, they got Mark Barron instead.
Well, Mark Barron coming from depth, bringing some pressure from the outside, the top of the screen. At the last little bit, oh boy.
He got shoved into him.
Yeah, boy, I have to see a different angle of that one. I know we're trying to protect these quarterbacks, but I'm going to have to see another angle on that one.
And I think that's what Greg Schiano was saying. He said, you got to be kidding me. He said basically Teo Nesson hit him. And the impact of that hit forced him into Barron. And Barron flagged for the penalty. They tack on 15, and Stafford slings it out to Johnson. Inside the 20, wrapped up to the 14-yard line. Calvin Johnson's second catch of the afternoon.
Well, Matthew Stafford, as I said, he's going to test Darrelle Revis at some point. Yeah, you're going to be respectful of it, but that's Calvin Johnson I'm throwing to out there, and we've heard Matthew Stafford say it time and time again. I got to get used to the fact that two guys on Calvin Johnson doesn't mean he's covered. Well, even though that's Darrelle Revis, and even though he's right there, I'm going to test and see if Calvin Johnson can come up with the ball.
6 minutes to go until halftime. Tampa Bay with a 3-point lead, but the Lions at the Buccaneers 14-yard line, and Reggie Bush still on his feet down to the 10. That'll be a gain of 4. Of course, Bush has had some issues over the last 3 weeks of putting the ball on the carpet. Fumbled a couple of times, losing one in Pittsburgh, and even though Jim Schwartz wouldn't say he was benched, Reggie Bush said I was benched and I should have been benched.
Well, and they have a natural rotation with Joyke Bell and Theo Riddick. Like we said, Bell's banged up a little bit. They have a role for Theo Riddick, but they know that Reggie Bush is going to be the key to their running game.
Blitz coming. What a catch. One-handed reception made by Joyke Bell. You brought up earlier. This is a young man, not only very strong running the ball, but excellent hands. He had 52 catches a year ago.
Reggie Bush, you can tell in pregame, very conscious of the fact that he made the claim during the week. I am not going to fumble the rest of the year. He's got Willie Young in there. Okay, I'm going to help you out. Not quite as violently as maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will go at it, but he's very conscious of it, very prideful. Knew that he hurt his team last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers with the fumbles.
Fourier is checked into the game as a second tight end along with Brandon Pettigrew. Jump ball to Durham. And did he come down with both feet in bounds? We are waiting, and now it's signaled a touchdown, and that's Fourier in the corner. And he'll go into his routine and start to dance.
They put Fourier on the outside. They're looking for the matchup. What are you going to do with him? They put Danny Gorer out there. He's 6 foot tall, but for the 6'8" Fourier, and I'm not sure those feet came down in bounds just yet. A, does he have control? B, do both feet come in? The right foot looked like it dragged, but the left foot looked like it did not. I think this thing's going to come back. It will be under review automatically.
Greg Schiano saying no way. He doesn't need to challenge this. Every scoring play is automatically reviewed. So they'll take a look at it. The ruling on the field is a touchdown to Joseph Fourier.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads.
All right, but yeah, so start me with the one I just started with. So we'll start with the official.
After review of the play, the ruling on the field stands. It is a touchdown.
And here's the key. It was ruled a touchdown. It had to be irrefutable that it was not. And what you're going to see here, thanks to the tire that comes up right there, he's got control. There's a little puff of the tire that this surface is made of. Now the right foot right in there. You can see the puff come up as well. We saw the left foot let it run just a little bit. There's the right foot dragging right there. Both feet and control. Touchdown, Joseph Fourier.
And a point after is good by David Akers. Of course, Fourier had the 3 touchdowns in one game against Cleveland. He has 11 touchdowns and 6 times he's done his dancing in the end zone. As we told you earlier today, up on the screen, the family of Captain Muncie saw him on what they thought was a message from Afghanistan. He showed up greeting his wife Michelle, their 3 children, Becca 5 years old, Henry 3, Anna Grace only 10 months. Grew up a Lions fan, big fan of Barry Sanders and Herman Moore. And after losing a kidney, a spleen, and almost his life, he will now spend Thanksgiving with his family. God bless them and all of those who serve in the military. Tampa Bay getting the football, 4:33 to play until halftime, and Page will bring it out of the end zone. And across the 20, the 30, to the 35, and Page still on his feet all the way up to the 39-yard line. That ball came loose. The question is, did Tampa Bay get back on it? And the first signal from Clete Blakeman is Buccaneers football. Looked like Ted Larson may have been at the bottom of that pile to recover the fumble.
There's no question the ball came out, and it looks like they jumped on it very, very quickly. Detroit's almost got it. He reaches there and pulls it out. I don't think you're going to get the ball back from a big boy like that.
So the Lions go 7 plays, 80 yards, chewing up 4 minutes. And now with a little more than 4 minutes left, the Buccaneers get it back, trailing 14-10. Victorini. And sacked all the way back to the 24-yard line is Glennon. That was Glover Quinn. They were wondering if he would even be able to go. He was in a boot earlier this week after an ankle injury.
Excuse me, he's just here on the edge. They will bring both Quinn and Delmas off those edges. Rainey having to start inside out, scan to see where the pressure's coming from, just late on Glover on the Glover Quinn, excuse me, on the outside.
A straight game now where Glennon, each of his NFL studs, has 2 or more sacks, and another penalty will back him up further.
Ball start. Offense, number 79. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Second time it's Jamon Meredith. We mentioned he is still filling in for Carl Nicks. Of course, Nicks has been the casualty, as was kicker Lawrence Tynes, and there have been others of the terrible MRSA infection going through the Tampa Bay facility. I mean, it's just another hurdle that Greg Schiano has tried to work his team through this year. It's been a rough season when you include the Josh Freeman saga, as Rainey carries up to the 27-yard line. Then you lose your first 8 games with all those things going on around it.
And it challenged him as a coach because he was trying to set up the proverbial culture that we always hear about when a new coach comes in. Had to kind of hold a tough line for him in the first year. Didn't start out well, same way this year, but actually has kind of loosened up a little bit, saying, okay, I trust these guys. Now that they know what I want, I'm going to rely on them to enforce this.
A lot of veterans come to his defense after their convincing win last week against Atlanta, including Davin Joseph, their Pro Bowl right guard. Lennon looking around, lays it off to the tight end right, but well short of a first down, and the Buccaneers, after a couple of big penalties, will punt it away.
Well, with the penalty, Tampa Bay, this game, they don't want it to denigrate into a throw game for Mike Glennon. Theirs is about running the ball, balance, play action fakes down the field. This looks to be a bit of a track meet. You have to respond with a score to a score. And right now, Tampa Bay fumbling around a little bit in this drive, not answering the Detroit Lions' last touchdown drive.
Ball standing back at his own 15. That one nearly blocked in a short punt by Cannon. And it takes a favorable Lions bounce. That is touched by a Lion. It initially looked like the Buccaneers had downed the ball.
Well, they're all around it. They were going to stop it from continuing on back. The minute they touch it right there, he's safe in doing that because Tampa Bay had already touched the ball. No matter what happened at that point, it was going to remain the Detroit Lions ball. Even if he had scooped this up and gone the length of the field, it's one of those unique rules. It was going to be Detroit's ball all along.
During the kick, we have a first touching at the 35-yard line. It'll be Detroit's ball, 35-yard line, first down.
That's what we thought.
And that's what I'm referring to. The minute they touched it, it's kind of like all bets off. You can do whatever you want, Detroit.
Today's game is sponsored by Visa, proud sponsor of the NFL. Visa, turning football fantasies into reality.
Both quarterbacks off to good starts today. Stafford, in fact, here in the second quarter is perfect. 7 of 7, 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. But remember that second quarter last week, he threw for 267 yards. They scored all 27 of their points in the game in that quarter. They didn't score in the first. They didn't score in the third. Nor did they score in the fourth against the Steelers.
Didn't complete a pass in the second half. Tom Fox tomorrow. Don't miss the show that has critics raving. Almost Human is gripping, groundbreaking, and it has one of TV's most irresistible duos. Don't miss an all-new episode of Almost Human tomorrow at 8, 7 Central on Fox.
Very, very nice. Boy, you become flawless in the promo category as Reggie Bush handles it. Pass, but is denied first down yardage. That's a nice open field tackle made to deny Reggie Bush a first down, and once more it's that name Levante David. What a player he has become in just his second year.
Yeah, he really has on the inside. He's a good 3-down player. First, second, and third down, keeping him in on nickel.
Johnson a first down in midfield. Clock continues to roll. We're in a minute, and now the Lions going to stop it with a timeout.
Yeah, Detroit has 3 timeouts now, too. They're in complete control. Or I should say they have every bit of their offense available to them. Just outside a minute with the 2 timeouts, you're thinking at least field goal position.
The Detroit Lions have not won a divisional title since 1993. They have not won a playoff game since 1991. And due to a tiebreaker with a pair of wins over the Bears, they come in tied atop the NFC North today. On the Visa halftime report, the Long brothers, how about that story, facing off today in St. Louis. Jets and Ravens battle in Baltimore. The body's moving everywhere, and this might be backing up Detroit.
False start. Offense, number 67. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Boy, that's tough. Now you back this up now, and we talk about they still got the 2 timeouts. You may have to take a few more shots a little bit further down the field than you might otherwise, just to get it in field goal position.
And it's intercepted. And racing the other way and still on his feet is Leonard Johnson, and that is a touchdown. Can you believe that? Second interception of the day for Matthew Stafford. He had been perfect in this quarter, and a huge mistake here in the final minute of the opening half. Tampa Bay back on top.
A little pressure up the middle. You're going to see here at the top. I don't think he saw Leonard as he starts to get some pressure. He backpedals. He's just going to drop it off, trying to get a few extra yards by going off to Pettigrew. He had no idea that Leonard Johnson was going to step up and be there, causing the pick 6. Unbelievable.
48-yard return after the interception by Johnson. In his second year out of Iowa State, the point after is good. Here we were seconds ago talking about the Lions with a chance to add on to their lead, and bang, punched in the mouth after this.
Well, everything was kind of going the Lions' way. The building's a bit subdued. We talked about them not being able to answer a score with a score. Well, they just answered with a score. Now this puts it back in the Tampa Bay wheelhouse in terms of being able to stay within their game plan, run the ball, play action pass, play good solid defense. Big play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here on the road in Detroit. Jim Schwartz knows it too now. Just like last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, they were in total control that second quarter, going up and down the field, and then all of a sudden things began to turn. It's those kind of plays that haunt you as a coach. Is that seminal moment that turned the tide of this game?
Johnson had 3 interceptions as a rookie last year, had 1 returned 83 yards for a touchdown against San Diego. That is his first interception, second career touchdown.
This Tampa Bay defense now, they've put some resources in here. Draft choices, Gerald McCoy, first-round pick in 2010. Claiborne and Bowers, the 2 ends, first and second-round picks in 2011. Vontae David, you already talked about, second-round draft choice in 2012. Joseph Banks, a second-round pick this year. They put some resources on this defense, went out and got Deshaun Golston, who's not playing today. Darrelle Revis, obviously, in free agency. This is a talented defense that showed up there.
10 points off the 2 turnovers today, taking a field goal on the first interception. Of course, that was an interception Stanford threw in the red zone. So now 50 seconds remain. Detroit does still have a pair of timeouts. And Ross will take a knee in the end zone. Visa halftime's coming up. How about it, Kurt Menefee?
Coming up on the Visa halftime, Randy Moss is in for Howie, so brace yourself for another Steelers-Browns rivalry game. And the Jets will try to hold up the final playoff spot in the AFC. And more suspender references, all coming up on the Visa halftime.
So brace yourself.
Brace yourself.
I like those suspenders. You and I need to start doing that. Start wearing suspenders up here.
You would look very handsome in suspenders.
And bow ties.
Be a good look for you.
Bow ties with that.
I'm all right by that. Stafford fires across the middle, and a catch is made by Calvin Johnson up to the 38-yard line. Lions have 2 timeouts. And take one here.
Detroit's got plenty of time now to get back into scoring position. Matthew Stafford obviously has put up some incredible numbers the last couple of years. Okay, so you just talked about kind of an unfortuitous pick in the red zone. Kind of went blind, turn around, gets Nate Burleson for the touchdown. Throws up the jump ball to Joseph Poirier for a touchdown. Now again, just kind of caught off guard there. Had no idea that Leonard Johnson was there.
It had a weird look to it, that Pettigrew reaction, as though somebody was getting ready to hit him in the head.
Well, it was just, I'm not sure Pettigrew knew that Johnson was there. He just thought he was going to get a little dump off. He was probably thinking about catching it and get out of bounds to save some clock.
Set up the screen, and damn, Stafford has felt the heat from this defensive line of Tampa Bay today. Now, he has not been sacked, but he's been under a lot of pressure, with the exception of those 2 scoring drives today.
And he just dirted that one. He saw Mark Barron come down on Joy Bell, was going to be all over it, so just dirted it.
Where this Lions offensive line has just done a spectacular job this year. Stafford has thrown the football almost 440 times and only 12 sacks. And that one airmailed as soon as it left his hand, looking for Johnson. And he was open.
Matthew Stafford just praying to have that one back. Did a nice job climbing the pocket, so the ball was going to be just a little bit late. And you're going to see now on the outside, Calvin Johnson's going to bend deep into the middle. We saw him just catch the ball over the middle. He is going to be wide open, but Stafford almost got a little too excited, and because he had to climb the pocket, was late on the throw, rushed his fundamentals.
3rd down and 10. 35 seconds remain in the second quarter. Stafford going to run it as a first down. Penalty flag comes in. 2 of them, in fact, as he runs for a first down to the Buccaneer 48-yard line, but we wait on the 2 penalty flags.
We got a whole bunch of players pleading out there one way or the other.
Jonathan Banks, a rookie. Ryan alluded to a moment ago, his 2nd-round pick out of Mississippi State. He has started every game in his rookie year.
Brandon Pettigrew, the tight end, is doing the most lobbying. That tells me that it's probably against him. Detroit's already backed up. They may be calling offensive pass interference or holding on Pettigrew the way he's reacted.
It's taken a long time to figure it out. Of course, we do have a pair of flags.
There are fouls against both teams on the play. Holding, offense, number 87. Holding, defense against the running back for Detroit. Those penalties offset. Will replay 3rd down.
With all that much ado about nothing, let's go back and play it again.
Time does burn off the clock, however. They don't put that back on.
Well, where they've done the most damage is on the inside, and with the timeout in their back pocket, they still can continue to target down the middle of the field should they choose to do so. Calvin Johnson here at the bottom.
Got some great protection. It had a strange look to it, didn't it? The way Burleson had to almost turn one way and thrown sort of back behind him. And again, that is an open receiver.
Yeah, and Matthew Stafford had some heat on this thing, caught Burleson off guard, which hit him square in the face. I'm not going to put that one on Burleson. He looked up, and all of a sudden the ball was right there.
The Lions have had a major problem with drop passes this year. They have 33 of them. That is most in the NFL. Punter faking as though he got hit, and then on a bounce coming up to pick it up is Eric Page. He has a pair of big returns this year, and one of them already today. And that went up across the 35 to the 37-yard line with 6 seconds remaining. Brian, you said it before this game ever started. There might be a lot of people out there that say, give me a break when you say a team 2-8 is better than 2-8. You lose the first game of the year on the second to last play. You lose the second game of the year on a field goal at the buzzer. And this is a better than a 2-8 Tampa Bay team.
Go into Seattle and lose in overtime after jumping up on the play. This is a good half for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're keeping it just the way they want to play. Good physical defense, giving up a couple big plays, made a couple big plays of their own. They I can't think that Greg Schiano could be any happier about where his team right now is going into half.
And a crowd here in Detroit not happy about it after the loss last week. The big interception by Leonard Johnson, who brings it into the end zone. That's the end of the first half. Let's go to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.
Welcome to the Visa Halftime Report. What's your football fantasy?
All right, those Buccaneers trying to make it 3 straight wins. They lead by 3 at halftime here on the Visa Halftime Report. Randy Moss in for Howie Long, but TV still rolling through the highlights.
All right, second-year quarterback out of Texas A&M, Ryan Tannehill, bootleg, open up to the left, roll to the right, throw on the run, hard to do. What a great throw, great concentration by Mike Wallace, man-for-man coverage. He beats the coverage, 53-yard touchdown. Miami 13-3 on top of Carolina. Bears at the Rams. Howie Long and his son. That's Chris on your left. That's Kyle on your right. Tavon Austin, #1 draft pick out of West Virginia. Toss it to him. They fake the reverse one way. He reverts. He pivots back the other side. Turns on that blazing Terry Bradshaw speed and takes it down the sideline. Look at me go.
Yeah.
55 yards, Randy Moss.
I see you.
If you can. And then 7-0 Rams, and then Kyle Long gets in the scuffle. Chris Long, his older brother, comes off and said, no, we don't do that. Come on, rookie. You're going to get yourself fined. You're going to get kicked out of the game. He pulls him off. Kyle does get penalized for unnecessary roughing, and then the brothers talk about it. 75 is Kyle Long. There's Chris. Bro, what are you doing? Really? You know Mom and Dad are here, right? Now be nice. You were raised better than that. 21-14 Rams on top of the Bears at the half. Minnesota Vikings at the Green Bay Packers. Scott Tolzien, third-year guy out of the University of Wisconsin. All right, fake bootleg, roll right, gonna throw it, nope, up in the air, turn on the speed, here we go. Spinner, got a little spinner here. First career rushing touchdown for Tolzien. Hey, congratulations, that was a 6-yarder, 7-0. Now give it to Adrian Peterson. Running to the Hall of Fame, this guy is 13-7. Vikings surprisingly on top of the Packers at the half. Chiefs hosting the Chargers. Alex Smith, look right, find the safety, now look for the post. Where's the safety? Not there. Couldn't see him, could you, folks? Great call by Andy Reid. That's a beautiful job to Donnie Avery, a 32-yard strike, 7-3 Kansas City. Then you give it to the big workhorse, Jamal Charles, up the middle. It's 14-3. Chiefs on top of the San Diego Chargers. Jets at the Ravens, Geno Smith. First-round pick out of West Virginia. Uh-oh. Salas goes in motion, ball, he gets hit by the snap. Either should have gone faster or the snap should have been delayed. Anyway, Suggs recovered, 6-3 Ravens, and then a pick. Joe Flacco to Antonio Cromartie for the Jets. He picks it off. Ravens lucky to be on top 9-3. That is a halftime score. Steelers at the Browns. Loved this game. Loved it when I was in Pittsburgh. Loved playing the Browns. Beautiful, cold, miserable, ugly day. There you go. Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown. Caught it, fumbled it, caught it on his lap. 13-3, though. That's what's important. Steelers on top. Jaguars at the Texans. Someone break these guys up. That's Case Keenum, the young kid out of Houston. Started a couple of games, got benched. Now he's got the job back. Chad Henne, though, finds Ace Sanders from the slot on a nice 51-yard completion. Got between the safeties on cover 2, then out of single back. Not single back, but I set tight. Right up the middle, Drew goes, 1-yard touchdown. Jaguars 10-3 on top of the Texans.
All right, Michael, the comeback Buccaneers against the Jekyll and Hyde Lions.
Yeah, the Buccaneers are doing a great job on defense. Interception, the touchdown. Also, not letting Detroit get over the top and create the big plays. But on the Detroit side, they're offensively, they've done a good job. For Calvin Johnson, it's tough. He's going against Darrelle Revis, but Burleson's having a great game back after the injury, and also Fourier had the great catch in the end zone.
Well, one thing I'll say about the Detroit Lions, everybody know about Reggie Bush and Calvin Johnson, but I'm glad to see an old teammate of mine, Nate Burleson, coming in and giving the Lions a lift. But at the same time, they're down 3 at the half, so Tampa Bay's been playing good defense, so look forward to some better defense in the second half.
Same thing with Detroit Lions. You got all this talent, Calvin Johnson making catches, Burleson, Reggie Bush, Stafford, on and on, but they turned the ball over twice. You can't turn the ball over and expect to win. Tampa Bay, no turnovers, running the football, not flashy, but they're ahead.
With Burleson back quickly, I'm surprised Bush doesn't catch more passes.
Yeah.
Double those guys out, because that Burleson is a threat, Randy.
Hey, between the first and second quarter, great moment. Arvisa playing the first half in this game. Michigan native Marine Captain Josh Muncy reunited with his family, surprised them, coming back from his 3rd tour of duty in Afghanistan. Beautiful moment there. I'm Kurt Menefee, sitting alongside Terry, Howie, Michael, Lisa, and Jimmy. Of course, Lisa is our Visa My Football Fantasy winner.
Thanks to Visa for making my fantasy come true.
With Thanksgiving nearly upon us, thankful indeed, the family of getting a chance to revisit together. A surprise on this Thanksgiving weekend, and we're back with a Visa halftime report in a moment.
You're watching the NFL on Fox.
A frigid Sunday afternoon in Detroit, Michigan, but warming up inside Ford Field and throughout the rest of the afternoon on Fox. NFC's battle coming up next. Tony Romo and the Cowboys, Eli Manning, and the Giants in America's Game of the Week. Our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader continues next, right here on Fox.
The second half is about to kick off. And why watch on an empty stomach? Go online, order Papa John's right now. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
set for the second half here at Ford Field. We invite you to follow your favorite team all season long. Just go to iTunes.com/NFL. All right, let's go back to your coaching days, Brian Billick. Halftime adjustments.
Well, Detroit's got to stay turnover-free. Two turnovers leading to scores for Tampa Bay. For Tampa Bay, they're not running the ball real well, only about 2.3 per rush, but they've got to continue to try to push the ball down the field that way to do the last thing, take the big shots down the field.
We've got a quick update, an important one from Laura Oakman along the sideline. Laura?
A very important one. Darrelle Revis limped off the field the last couple of plays. They're not sure if he's going to be able to go. Greg Schiano said we will find out in a hurry. They are saying it is a leg injury. That's all Schiano would say. As of now, he said if he can go, they'll give him a lot more help than he's had on Calvin Johnson. If he can't, he said we are going to obviously have to move a lot of pieces around. As for Jim Schwartz, he said he had done a good job on Calvin, but he's been open a bunch of times. They just have to hit him. The key the second half for the Lions is making sure that they have better blocking from Matthew Stafford. I will update you as soon as I know more on Darrelle Revis, guys.
Great stuff down there, Laura Oakman. Thank you very much for continuing to work on him. There you see just in front of the Tampa Bay bench. Buccaneers get the ball. You may remember they won the toss, deferred to the second half. So this drive will start at the 20. Good first half for Mike Glennon. They did not run the ball well, and that's something they have done to the tune at almost 180 yards per game in the month of November. But Glennon, 9 of 11, 132 yards, a touchdown. At one point, and on 9 in a row, and that's history coming into this second half. Bobby Rainey, 10 carries, only 27 yards. This is his 11th carry, and he'll lose yards.
And this is the challenge for Tampa Bay. They know that Detroit is stout up the middle with Ndamukong Suh and Nick Fairley. In the middle is where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run. But still knowing that, they know they have to press that because it's the key to what they do in terms of their play-action game. Here we see Tampa Bay go with no huddle, maybe trying to calm down some of the things. We've already seen a number of safety blitzes by the Detroit Lions. They may be trying to calm that down with their own no huddle.
Also 4 on first down, little delay to Rainey. And there once again, stepping up to make the tackle is Palmer. He had a couple of big tackles in the first half.
Well, the middle of this Detroit Lion defense, as we've had it told to us, trashes the run on the way to the quarterback. And that's part of the problem with the big bodies inside. We've already talked about DeAndre Levy and Stephen Tulloch having good, solid seasons backing up that defensive line.
So not much to speak of running the football. That is something the Buccaneers have done so well. 3rd and forever. Is that a catch and a fumble or an incompleted pass? It's the latter and not the former. And a good thing for the Bucs.
Yeah, it's clearly not a catch. We talked about the dragging routes underneath they hit early in the half. And here Vincent Jackson just can't get a hand on it. And understandably, because he knows he's about to get lit up.
So 3 and out on their opening possession of this second half. And now Kanan stands in his own end zone. Jeremy Ross waiting at his own 35. Another short punt by Kanan. And letting it bounce is Ross. That has cost him probably about 20 yards on a couple of different punts today, rather than coming up to get it. Stafford and the Lions, their first possession in the second half, down by 3.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And by Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Well, we've already talked about if Darrelle Revis is indeed out, this is huge for the Detroit Lions because they've left him enough one-on-one to do other things and account for the other assets of the Detroit Lions. They're going to have to play a whole lot more too deep to account for Calvin Johnson. It's going to open it up for runs just like this.
A 5-yard carry on first down for Reggie Bush.
Here we talk about the matchups. You can see Darrelle Revis trailing him in a number of different ways. Occasionally he'll let him fall off in zone, but obviously the Detroit Lions are very aware of Darrelle Revis. And if he's out of the game for any length of time, it's going to totally restructure the coverage package of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They have Leonard Johnson in the game. They also have an extra defensive back who also checks in, and Danny Gore. And they go right to Johnson naturally. A flag is down on the play. He beat the rookie Jonathan Banks. It appears this will be against Tampa Bay, and they'll move the chains.
Pass interference, defense, number 27. Penalties declined. First down, Detroit.
And Jonathan Banks has been traveling. You can see up here, he's now traveling with Calvin Johnson like Darrelle Revis did, but you can see the help over the top. Keith Tandy, they're going to see a whole lot more help over the top of. Here he's in the slot here. He's going to get help on almost every snap. That's going to affect the coverage on the rest of the Detroit Lions.
First down from their own 48. Reggie Bush for a gain of almost 3. Will bring up a second down and 7. Tackled by Levante David.
It's unfortunate. Levante David, most people just remember that opening game with that ill-advised, I don't even want to call it a penalty, but just basically a late shove out of bounds on Geno Smith. That was a win for Tampa Bay. That's one of the games I alluded to where there's really just a handful of plays. This team could easily be 6-4.
And wait till their 9th game of the year, of course, to get their first win of the season after starting 0-8, and now in trouble Stafford. And just throws it away. And I'll tell you, he is very lucky that throwaway didn't turn into a 3rd interception. For the Lions, though, every game a big one now through the end of the regular season. They have the tiebreaker with a pair of wins against Chicago so far this year. At halftime, the Bears on the road down 10. Green Bay at home, still without Aaron Rodgers, trails Minnesota by 6.
And that's what makes this game so pivotal. Missed an opportunity last week against Pittsburgh. You got to win the games at home, particularly even as good as I think Tampa Bay may be. They're still 2-8. You've got to win that game at home.
Right now they trail 3rd and 8 by 3. And Johnson the reception for a first down to the 28-yard line. And again, that is Banks in coverage.
And a nice coverage by Banks, but it shows you the difference in the comfort zone that Matthew Stafford has with his little sidearm delivery. Every time we play or show Detroit, we show one of those Favre-esque type throws. Banks was all over him, but being all over a 6'5" Calvin Johnson sometimes just isn't enough. Not when you can throw the ball just outside the reach of the DB, and you know he's going to come up with it.
All Revis can do is stand, walk, and watch. 6 out of 8 converting on 3rd down. Now the Lions. It's a gain of 21, and Joy Bell leapfrogs a would-be tackler and carries to the 23. Laura Oakman.
Here's what I can tell you. It happened around 2 to 3 plays before going into the half. He limped off of the field. The trainers brought him into the locker room a little bit early with a groin injury. That is what the treatment has been for. His return is questionable, although he just got his helmet, put it on, is standing over on the sideline watching, looking like he wants to get him. It also looks like he's been in a lot of pain. But again, officially it's a groin injury.
All right, Laura, thank you. Of course, Revis coming all the way back from that torn ACL in the 2nd game of the year last year. Made it all the way back to start a season opener for Tampa Bay against his former team, the Jets. And a quick hit. And very close to another first down is Nate Burleson.
The thing, Tom, is for Darrelle Revis, he made the comment up to the middle of the season. He didn't have the confidence necessary to play man-to-man the whole game. Still coming back from the injury. Even if he comes back in, if he's got the groin injury, the confidence he has on going one-on-one with Calvin Johnson compared to what he had to start the game could be totally different.
First down and 10 at the Tampa Bay 18-yard line. 8th play of this drive for the Lions to the end zone. And it is a touchdown to Brandon Pettigrew.
Matthew Stafford knows with the size of his receiving core. Calvin Johnson, 6'5". Brandon Pettigrew, 6'5", 6'6". Chris Durham, 6'6". Joseph Fourier, 6'8". He can just put the thing up high enough where only his receivers can get to it. He's very good at that right now. He's got an entire basketball team that can pull the ball off the rim.
16th career game for Matthew Stafford, where he's thrown 3 touchdowns or more in a game. Point after by Akers good. And the Lions go back on top, back and forth throughout the rest of the afternoon. We shall see. It's been that way so far. But with Darrelle Revis out of the game, they go right on the attack mode. Why wouldn't you, to Calvin Johnson, who's now all of a sudden knocking on the door of 100 receiving yards. Pettigrew the touchdown, and the Lions with a 4-point lead.
It's like turning a switch on, Tom. Revis is out. Boom. Here we go to Calvin Johnson.
Buccaneers went 3 and out their first possession of this second half, and now Page deep from his own end zone. Out across the 25. Tell you, he is an exciting return man. He's got a couple of punt returns for better than 40 yards this year. Good return there. We'll see if the Buccaneers can answer.
Today's game is sponsored by Verizon. Never be without football. Get NFL Mobile. Call ** NFL to download it now.
Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. 21-17. Lions in front of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Knowing that both Green Bay and Chicago are losing. This is a huge game for the Lions. After losing on the road in a tough place to win a game, Pittsburgh, last Sunday.
And these fans have kind of been critical of, well, which Lions do we have, the good, the bad. These fans need to get into it. You know what? This building needs to get rocking and rolling. Make it tough on rookie Mike Glennon of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Glennon going to come out throwing on first down under pressure. And tries to find Leonard. It's incomplete. Watch 30 minutes of live NFL games free right now. Through the 29th. Call NFL to download now. See, the Buccaneers only 60 points scored during the second half of games this year. They pitch it to Rainey, who's had a very, very quiet day coming off the monster game against Atlanta.
Revis is right here. This is the last play we saw. Darrelle Revis. He's just down the field, turns and runs with Kevin Ogletree. Don't know if he pulls up on the turn, if it's indeed it's growing. And something's not right for him. So we'll have to see if indeed he wants to come back into the game.
3rd down and 6. 4-man rush. Glennon rolling. And he threw it right into the head of Don Carey, the safety in coverage for the Lions. Back-to-back possessions, back-to-back 3 and out.
Inside pressure is the problem for Mike Glennon right now. We talked all week, or he did, about how he had to be ready for the inside pressure. Willie Young kind of ran a stunt on the inside, forced him to the outside. Mike Glennon, pretty decent athlete, but him throwing on the run is not what you want to make a living on.
Fair catch called for by Ross right at the 20-yard line. So with 8:35 to play in the 3rd. Johnson and the Lions look to add to a 21-17 lead. Lions with a football. 8:34 to play in the 3rd quarter from Ford Field in Detroit. The Lions with a 21-17 lead. Beginning this drive from their own 20, and they give it to Reggie Bush, and look out into the open field. Bush across the 50 and run out of bounds all the way down to the 41-yard line. 41-yard gain for Reggie Bush.
Well, it's all well and good to bring someone down extra in the box like they do Mark Barron. The problem is if you don't get home, that means there's a whole bunch of folks behind Reggie Bush and not a lot in front of him heading to the goal line. Obviously, Tampa Bay recognizing they've got to build that box to stop Reggie Bush, but you've got to be sound with it or they crank out a run like that.
They spotted in the 41, so officially a 39-yard run for Bush. 11 carries, 74 yards after that big one, and now Stafford looking for the really big one. And just has to sling it to the sideline, in and out of the hands of the intended target, Chris Durham. Let's check in back in Los Angeles with Joel Clapp.
All right, Tom, to Green Bay. Remember, the Packers will visit Detroit on Thanksgiving on Fox. Big play action, and Rhett Ellison, he rumbles in for the touchdown, and the Vikings up 20-7 over the Packers, who have replaced Scott Tolzien with Matt Flynn. Tom and Brian.
Well, Tom, last check, Aaron Rodgers didn't play defense. I'm more concerned about the 20 points that Green Bay defense has given up as opposed to the lack of offense they have, obviously, without Aaron Rodgers.
Stafford rolling, and now will be dropped for a 2-yard loss. That's Dakota Watson in there to get him. I know, Brian, I just think so many people, you almost sound crazy when it comes out of your mouth, but can one player make that much of a difference? I know he's among the greatest quarterbacks maybe of all time, but with him, they're one thing. Without him, they can't do anything.
Well, Indianapolis without Peyton Manning was, what, 1-15? What were they, 2? Right. Yeah, in today's NFL, yeah, it can make a difference, which tells you what a job they're doing in Chicago without their #1 guy, to have McCown in there and still be obviously competitive.
They're down and long for Stafford under heavy pressure. And no penalty flag. Now one comes in. That was Barron in coverage of Pettigrew.
And Barron clearly got there early. Kind of an odd play. It just waited and waited. He was right there waiting to make the play. Pettigrew, a big man.
Interference. Defense, number 23. Ball replaced at the spot of foul. First down, Detroit.
You know what, though, Brian? He was nowhere near the first down.
Yeah, that's the regrettable thing. He comes in here off the line. We've already seen Barron up there blitzing. Now he's all over. It kind of gets a hold on him. He wasn't anywhere near the first down. That's the regrettable thing, like you say. Not even near it. He could get him the catch. Just tackle him. Been in a lot better shape.
So 3rd and forever is an automatic first down after the penalty. Bush tackles his way for a 2-yard gain. And once more, Watson there to take him to the ground.
You know, Detroit, really, they've only punted twice, other than the 2 turnovers that did lead to touchdowns. They've kind of been up and down the field. You know, Tampa Bay's kind of held in there a little bit, but they have moved the ball effectively when they've got stopped. Is of more of their own doing than what Tampa Bay was doing.
On the 34-yard line. Quick throw once more to the big tight end, Pettigrew. And he has a first down to the 25. Pettigrew injured his knee. You may remember he had to leave the game against the Steelers last week, came back into the game. So he's had a nice bounce back here. Last year had a problem fumbling, had a lot of drops. This year much more sure-handed and has become a very effective blocker when they do decide to run the ball.
And they came in together, he and Stafford, both first-round draft choices in 2009. Stafford the first pick overall, Pettigrew the 20th. So they've grown up together in the NFL.
Blitz coming. Stafford gets it away, and he's thrown his 3rd interception of the afternoon. This one by Tandy, and the 2nd interception by Stafford in the red zone.
Well, Matthew Stafford could not have seen Tandy, and that's not an excuse because it's his job to know where that guy is. Keith Tandy in the middle of the field. You got to know without Darrelle Revis, there's always going to be someone deep to account for Calvin Johnson. Pettigrew crosses. Stafford may have thought he was going to go with the crossing man. Instead, he's going to go to Calvin Johnson and give Banks all the help. You can see why Stafford can't see him. It gets awful crowded in there with those offensive and defensive linemen. You can see his frustration. There's no way that he saw Tandy. And as I said earlier, it's his job to know where he is.
So now the Bucs get the ball. Try to set up the screen. Huge pressure blitzing by DeAndre Levy. Tandy, his second career interception, his first game this year in that near upset against Seattle. And third interception thrown by Stafford today.
Who normally has been pretty good, but it's these types of games. Obviously, what did I say on my key points coming in? Just don't turn the ball over. They've been up and down the field. They've only punted twice. The only time Tampa Bay's really gotten anything is on a pick six and an interception that led to a field goal.
They're not even flirting with a run game any longer, and Glennon fires across the middle, and his tight end right for a first down up to the 31-yard line. Been a good day for Tim Wright.
We said that he had developed a relationship with Mike Glennon because both started down the roster or the depth chart a little bit. Again, you can see the strength. A big long stroke, like I say, out of Mike Glennon, but that thing is on target. Got some RPMs on it. He and Wright definitely have an affinity for one another, having grown up from down the roster up to starting position.
That college free agent was Wright. 6 catch, 62 yards. Now they'll try Rainey once again, and boy, this has been a stingy run defense. Win up to make the tackle. For more on Darrelle Revis, let's check in once more with Laura.
Tom, I told you when I talked to Greg Schiano at halftime, he called Darrelle Revis's injury a leg injury. The Bucs officially changed that to a groin injury, but now a few moments ago, trainers came over, put a big bag of ice over his left knee, lower leg. It's very apparent looking at him, he's not coming back today. The question is going to be, how much time will he miss after that with a groin/leg injury right now?
All right, Laura, thank you. Second down, Rainey to the outside, back to the inside. 2 penalty flags, one in the backfield, the other along the sideline. And the early indication, holding.
Holding. Offense, number 69. 10-yard penalty. Still second down.
It's DeMar Dotson, your right tackle. Coming up tonight on Fox Sports Live, full highlights, post-game reaction from Manning v. Brady, as well as all the college basketball, NBA, NHL highlights. Jay and Dan at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. After getting the big reception by the tight end Wright, they're now going the wrong way. And a first down at the 31, now second down and 22 from the 18. And a little delay to Rainey. Back up through the middle and picks up a good chunk of it. 11 yards of it. We check in with Kirk Menefee.
All right, the Carolina Panthers trying to come back against Miami. Cam Newton, little 5-yard touchdown run. That was a 14-play drive to start the second half. They cut it to within 3 down in Miami. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
All right, Kurt, thank you. A third down and 11 for Tampa Bay, trailing 21-17 here in the third quarter. Wright has been the favorite target. It was blown dead before it ever starts, and they're already pointing at Underwood.
False start. Offense, number 81. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Well, they say Wright.
Yeah, I'm Tampa Bay. Greg Schiano's going, we're 3 of 9 on third down. It's 3rd and 10. By all means, let's make it 3rd and 15. That just gives me a little more room to make a call here. Oh, that's why I don't have any hair and he's losing his.
I will officially call it 3rd down and 16. They need to get to the 41-yard line. Willie Young chasing without his helmet. And Glennon just throws it away.
Once again, we see that inside pass rush right there. Fairley's got a little bit of a trophy for his buddy, Willie Young. I'll pick it up for you, man. But the inside pass rusher of Fairley and Sue forced him to the outside where Mike Glennon doesn't want to be.
Buccaneers unable to take advantage of that interception thrown by Stafford in the end zone. And now Kanan puts a right foot on it. And a very late call on the fair catch by Ross. The ball trickles out of bounds after a 43-yard punt. So no damage after the INT. Big stop there by that Detroit defense after the turnover by Matthew Stafford, 21-17. So even though things have not started well in this second half for Tampa Bay, much like what you said at the end of the first half, hard to argue where they are right now if you're Greg Schiano.
Said need to continue to run the ball. They're doing that. Need to make big plays down the field. They've done that to Vincent Jackson. Continue to get turnovers. They've done that. It's 21-17. It doesn't feel that way right now. You get the sense that if Detroit just doesn't turn the ball over, I'm not sure Tampa can get back in this. We're going to find out.
Got an entire quarter, another 2:29 to go on the first down. That's David stepping up to wrap up Reggie Bush after a gain of 3.
Well, the picks, you know, they come in all sorts of ways. The ball kind of gets batted around. Devontae David comes up with it. This was an odd one at the end of the half, a pick 6. That just, it's like Brandon Pettigrew didn't know it was coming, and this one clearly Matthew Stafford did not see Tandy roving around in the middle of the field.
Called a gain of 4 on first down. You see Stafford, when throwing 3 or more interceptions, numbers are not pretty. The bottom line is right now he's got a lead. And the football, quick slant. Boy, that is a fastball coming right at the noggin. You know, it's easy to say a guy drops the ball. Well, I tell you what, go line up about 5 yards away and then slant in and have Stafford throw one of these right at you. That's not an easy ball to catch.
Yeah, and the ball actually got tipped up in the air by Jonathan Casillas. Quarterbacks usually hate slant routes. They really do. Because when they come out of it, they're not quite sure where everybody is. All of a sudden, someone jumps in front of their eyes. You get a pick 6. The ball bounces up. It's great to get out of your hand quick. They're easy to do. But there's high risk, high reward sometimes.
3rd down and 6. 4-man rush. And that is a catch now. Depending on the spot, did Burleson get enough for a first down? Leonard Johnson dropped him right where he caught it. And they're probably going to bring out the sticks. And then, of course, the decision is if you're short. Is Jim Short's going to challenge the spot? He's got that flag in his right hand.
He does not. The line is unofficial, but it's pretty darn close. Boy, it's right there. And you challenge it that closely. The hard part is the chains are on the opposite side of the field. They're on the Tampa Bay side. What you see there is the down marker. It can be kind of correct. It's like the yellow line. You don't know for sure. Obviously, he didn't think he got it.
And he didn't. So they elect to punt, and that is handled inside the 5-yard line by Page. And Carey with great special teams coverage to drop him inside the 5. What do you say to your punt returner when you catch one of the 3?
You know what, son, you're not supposed to back up behind the 10. That's usually the area of demarcation that says if you find yourself backing up inside the 10-yard line, let it go.
56-yard punt, 2-yard return, and there's that conversation.
Yeah, son, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
Detroit dominating in total yards, and only a 4-point lead, and that's a safe completion to the tight end right. His 7th catch of the afternoon, and that'll be a gain of 9.
This is a great opportunity by Tampa Bay now, obviously operating out of the shadow of their own goalpost, to put together a long orchestrated drive. I told you earlier, right now it's primarily off of turnovers. If they get a short field, they've already had a good return. Can they go the length of the field with a well-orchestrated run and pass ratio with an occasional shot down the field?
They do have to run one more play. There is is a second differential between play clock and game clock. And they're going to hand it to Rainey. And he will not get to the first down marker. And Dominican Sue, the first one there. Levy right behind him. Third down, a big one coming up. That's the end of the third quarter. Fox NFL Sunday continues after a break from your local Fox station. And young fella excited to be here today. They're proud of their Lions, a 6-4 start, division leaders inside the NFC North, but they're in a tight one at home. I don't know if you call any game, Brian, considering where everybody is, a must-win. But this is a game you should win.
At home.
And if you want to be a divisional champion, you got to win this kind of game. Third down in the yard.
Got an extra tackling on the right side, Gabe Karimi.
And they run it. And they got it. Diving forward is Rainey. Mooring, the big fullback, leading the way to keep this drive alive. A drive which began inside their own 5-yard line.
I mentioned it earlier. This crowd needs to get cranked up a little bit, not just in terms of slowing down Tampa Bay and the signals, but you can wear a team out on the road. We talk about the importance of this game to the Detroit Lions and being at home. Your home crowd can be a factor, and that's a reason there's home field advantage. You got to wear the other team out. I'm not sure this crowd has worn out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yet.
Only 7 first downs in this game for the Buccaneers. Glennon down the field to Underwood, who was left alone. And he beats a would-be tackler all the way to the end zone. Tyquan Underwood. A 75-yard, 85-yard touchdown pass from their own 15. And racing into the end zone, his second score of the day is Underwood.
This is just real simple as a screwdriver. I'm going to run down the middle of the field. Mike Glennon, you put it up as high and as deep as you can get it. Chris Houston can't quite turn his hips over to get to the top. What did we say had to happen, Tom? Run the ball, get it out of the shadow of your goal line. Play action fake, get it down the field, and all of a sudden there's that big play that gives Tampa Bay the lead.
Underwood played in 19 games with Jacksonville and New England prior to coming to Tampa Bay last year. We mentioned he was cut this year. But when Mike Williams was injured, they brought him back. 2 touchdowns for Tyquan Underwood, and don't look now, the Buccaneers back in front.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL, by the all-new 2014 Jeep Cherokee, built free, and by Killzone Shadow Fall. What will you sacrifice for peace? Rated M.
Well, I said I wasn't sure if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were up to getting a drive of their own without being put on a short field or a turnover, and I was wrong. That was a beautiful, like I said, they ran the ball, effectively pushed it out from the shadow of their own goalpost, and then boom, hit the big one to Tyquan Underwood on as well thrown a deep ball as I've seen all year long.
Well, that is the 4th longest touchdown pass in Tampa Bay Buccaneers franchise history. And here's Glennon again with another 2-touchdown effort. That is something, Brian, he has done now in 5 of his 8 starts. He has not turned the ball over today.
And that's as well placed a ball down the middle of the field. I don't know if Chris Houston thought he was getting help down the middle of the field or just hoping it was going to be there. Taking it over, Darrelle Revis says, here, you can have this, man. We're going to wait for you to come back. Nope, he's holding on to us. He just wanted to make sure he knew, yeah, I'm the one that had that touchdown. Yes, that's going on my den mantelpiece.
Now can the Lions answer? Nearly an entire quarter to play. And Joy Bell is slammed to the deck by Mark Barron on a first down run, and a pretty good one.
Well, Detroit again with Darrelle Revis out should be facing the kind of number count in the box that allows them to run the ball a great deal like that. And the minute they come out of that and try to play single high safety against Calvin Johnson, look for the shot down the field.
180. Once more on 2nd down. Up to the 28-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 3. And even though, Brian, we still have just under 13:30 to go, a very manageable 3rd down. But after that punch to the mouth there on that 85-yard touchdown reception, this is one you get the feeling the Lions need to get a little confidence back.
Yeah, get that emotion back. Get the crowd back in it, because they're kind of stunned right now. They were kind of quiet to begin with. They're even quieter now.
Brought back into coverage, only a 3-man rush. Reggie Bush reaching for the 1st down. Did he get it? He did, up to the 31-yard line. It's a good effort by Reggie Bush.
The versatility of Reggie Bush, a running back lining up out of the backfield, going one-on-one with Mark Barron. Mark Barron's a pretty good cover guy. When you can have that out of your backfield, you're usually looking for the mismatch with a linebacker, but when you can do it against one of the better safeties in the game, that's pretty good.
Reggie Bush and the rookie out of Notre Dame, Theo Riddick, checked into the backfield, although Riddick stacked behind Durham at the bottom of your screen. And they give it to Bush. And he's up to the 36-yard line. That'll be a gain of 5 on 1st down for Bush.
Well, just in case you didn't hear me the first time, Tom, Fox tomorrow, don't miss the show that has critics raving. Almost Human is gripping, groundbreaking, as one of TV's most irresistible duos. Don't miss an all-new episode of Almost Human tomorrow at 8, 7 Central on Fox.
Irresistible duos. Is that Kim and Brian Billick starring in that show this week?
Yeah, why not?
Well, of course, they're pointing at one another, Barron and Waddle.
I think Barron broke the line of scrimmage. We've seen him pressure on the outside. Bush cranked a big one when he came outside. Bush went inside. If the tackle or the tight end will respond to him, it's going to be against Tampa Bay.
Neutral zone infraction, defense number 23. A 5-yard penalty. We're going to measure to make sure it's a 1st down or not.
Tell you, penalties is certainly one area, and there are probably a lot of Buccaneer fans that can say, hey, look, there's more than one when you have a 2-8 record. But one area that cannot be excused is the rate at which they have committed penalties this year. It is staggering.
And at critical times, there you just gave them a free 1st down. You take a 3rd and 10, turn it to 3rd and 15. It's when those penalties happen. And now that they've got 9 of them, yeah, it's an issue.
It's the 9th game this year. They have been whistled for 8 penalties or more. Wow. Joy Bell may be back to the line of scrimmage. Tripped up by Gerald McCoy. As much was made of McCoy, the 3rd pick going back to the 2010 draft out of Oklahoma. And Ndamukong Suh, the 2nd pick. I thought Suh handled everything in a very classy manner. He said, look, I wish this young man nothing but the very best. I'm not worried about him because I'm not lining up against him. I don't want him to have a good game against our team, but you know, the rest of the year after today, good luck in his career.
And back then, I will tell you, there was a very lively debate as to which player should have gone first.
Screen to Bush and right through his hands. Claiborne lost his helmet as he was on his way to try and jar that football loose from Bush, who never got a handle on it. So now a 3rd down and 11 for the Lions. 10:38 to go, and Tampa Bay, a 2-8 team, playing on the road against a division leader. And the Buccaneers with a 3-point lead.
Lions are 7-10 on 3rd down. That's a healthy 70% now. They can keep that rate up. They need a big one here to put them on a 1st down inside the 50.
Blitz coming. And Stafford in trouble. Down he goes. Ball came loose. It looked like Stafford was able to cover it back up, and he does. The initial pressure came off the edge from a linebacker, Jonathan Casillas.
And Casillas just literally ran Joy Bell right into Matthew Stafford on a great power rush.
But you can really sense the frustration from the crowd here at Ford Field. These are some great football fans. Make no mistake about it. For so many losing seasons, they have sold out game after game after game, seemingly forever. And here they had a 6-3 lead going into the game last week, and that one is blocked. Picked up by the Buccaneers, and all the way down to the 10-yard line. It will belong to Tampa Bay. Larson picked it up. And the block was made by Danny Gore.
Dave Wanstatt, the special teams coach, former head coach in this league in Chicago and Miami, dials up the pressure on the outside. We said turnovers, watch this right side. They just went the length of the field, but now turnovers or a blocked punt. Great angle. You either got to get the ball off quicker or give this guy just a bit of a pause, make him change his course just slightly. There again, a turnover making the difference in this game.
Second straight week the Buccaneers have blocked a punt. Dakota Watson blocked one against Atlanta last week, and now it's Gore setting up a first down from the 11-yard line. They give it to Rainey, who's had a very quiet day, and it continues to be quiet. There is just no running room at all against this Lions defense. It's not allowed a 100-yard rusher the entire year. In fact, they are 5th best against the run of all defenses in the NFL. And oh my, how important this one is, especially when you look at what else is going on. You in essence would have a 2-game lead over Chicago should that score stand, and Detroit get a win here because you've already beaten them twice this season. Second down, and Glennon sacked back at the 20-yard line, and Onsen with his second sack of the afternoon.
Same kind of sack he had before, just coming off the edge on Donald Penn. Donald Penn's a Pro Bowler now, former Pro Bowler. That's a pretty good matchup. Onsen showing that conversion from power to speed around the edge against Donald Penn.
Well, you went from first down at the 11 and you're thinking touchdown. Now you're 3rd and 19 from a 20. Pocket collapses once more. Glennon lays it off. And a catch is made, but dropped down to the 17-yard line as Leonard out of the backfield. So out comes the field goal unit to try and extend this lead to 6. Well, what a big difference between field goal and touchdown here, needless to say.
And your team needs to seize on the emotion of that. You're put in a difficult situation. The defense goes in, does its job. I don't see a lot of energy on the sideline of the Detroit Lions right now, but that's okay. As long as I see it in the offense when they get back on the field, obviously, see what they can do.
35-yard field goal try by Ryan Lendell in his 14th season. Oh, and he missed it.
Wow.
He hooked it to the left.
That'll get some energy going.
So a block punt, a drive that starts at the 11, and you come away empty.
Well, there may be some debate about where this ball goes. The problem is it is non-reviewable. You got to rely on the official below, because unless it's between the uprights, it is not reviewable. If it goes over the top, clearly it did there. You got to rely on the vision of the official.
So all that momentum swing, as apparently the challenge flag is thrown by Greg Schiano.
Whoa, if he is challenging this, he may be explaining to him, you cannot challenge this if it's over the top of the upright. That's what he's explaining right there. Now, typically, if you throw the flag and you're not allowed to, it's a penalty. But in this situation, he may be looking for clarification. Are you telling me it's over the top of the upright? I'll be interested to see what they do with this.
Well, he's picked the flag back up.
Attempted to challenge the ruling on the field that the field goal was not good. However, that particular play is not reviewable because the ball did not go below the level of the top of the post. challenge, there is no timeout and there's no penalty for Tampa Bay for that particular play. First down.
Well, Mike Pereira, we heard Brian Billick just say the reason why. Did you have anything further to add to that?
No, and there is no charged timeout, because the only time you would get charged a timeout is if you did not, if you were inside of 2 minutes, or if it was a touchdown or a scoring play, or you were out of timeouts, in which case you get a penalty. But that's the only time you're assessed with a penalty or a timeout.
All right, Mike Pereira back in Los Angeles. Thank you so much. Always great to have Mike Pereira with us. First down, throwing complete to Burleson. You can almost feel the energy in this building. And it's not a positive energy right now.
Yeah, it's a wait and see, isn't it? It's okay. Show us what you can do with this.
And look at the NFL this season. 67% of the games have been within 7 points in the fourth quarter. NFL record. Greg Schiano's not fared well going back to last year in the Titans. Much better, obviously, last year when they went 7-9. Throw down the middle, too high.
Well, this one, they had Adrian Claiborne run down the middle of the field. They brought secondary pressure from the left side, had Adrian Claiborne run with Brandon Pettigrew down the right side. Not a matchup you'd normally like. Again, Matthew Stafford just a little high on the throw.
Third down and 10 now for the Lions. Trying to take advantage of that missed field goal a moment ago by Lindell. Stafford steps up, and it's caught, and able to fight very close to a first down is Durham. A couple of missed tackles right there by Tampa Bay, or the Lions would be punting.
Yeah, I'm going to spread Calvin Johnson out. Here you can just see Durham. Shallow drag underneath. Nice high ball. Again, the guy's 6'6", so why not put it there? Nice job of eluding the tackles, getting the first down. I'm going to put Calvin Johnson on the outside. And I'm going to continue to run the ball. If indeed they get a first down, I'm going to continue to run the ball until they show me they want to go cover one to stop the run. And I'm going to take a shot to Calvin Johnson.
They're stretching that baby out, and an inch.
Or what?
All right, what do? You're in your own 35-yard line. We know about what happened last week, but that was down inside the Pittsburgh 10.
My defense just had a turnover, which they gave up a total of 6 yards. I'm going to punt it, let my defense stop this rookie quarterback and give my offense better field position. And that's exactly what they're not going to do.
Well, Jim Schwartz came out last week and said, you'll never say that I'm frightened or that I'm afraid. And this is a gamble. Will they have Stafford keep it himself? Or try to draw him off sides?
That's exactly. Well, he goes for it. All right, he got it.
And he got it.
Brilliant call. It's exactly what I would have done. That's why I love being about this booth.
Well, you have the very controversial decision in the fourth quarter at Pittsburgh. At their 10 with just under 13 minutes to go and a 27-23 lead on a 4th and 5. The fake field goal. The Steelers recovering a fumble on the play, went 93 yards for a touchdown to turn the game around. And there's Johnson on first down, but he'll watch as they hand it off to Joyce Bell, and he's dropped for a 2-yard loss by Levante David.
And you can see that Tandy, the safety, was over the top. Again, they're playing a loose coverage, inviting the Detroit Lions to run. They got to get more yardage than that when they have a light box. But I promise you, Matthew Stafford, the minute they come out of that high safety defense, and again, you see Tandy on top of them. They're keeping these safeties good and high here and here to not let Calvin Johnson get started.
Stafford steps up and delivers, and it's high. He had an eye on Johnson, and Johnson might be shaken up. Now he's getting back up to his feet. That's another bounce that could have been intercepted.
Again, you're just going to see the high-low coverage right here. They're going to count for Calvin Johnson. They try to pull up underneath with Nate Burleson. That's a high-low shot. That's forcing the ball in where it doesn't belong. Now, Calvin Johnson can come up with these kind of catches. Make no mistake. Now, I'm going to wait for that one-on-one coverage on the outside. I'm going to make him cover Reggie Bush out of the backfield, Brandon Pettigrew, Nate Burleson. Bring those guys down the box and wait till you get that one-on-one on the outside, not the two-on-one.
Johnson now in the slot on 3rd down and 11. What a throw and a catch, and the ball is on the ground. It is picked up by Tampa Bay. And all the way down to the 38-yard line is Kelsey McCray. Now the question is, did the ground cause that fumble? Boy, that was a very odd-looking play as Durham was in the air and falling to the ground.
He never got to the ground. Watch this. He's in bounds. Just as he gets spun around, the question is, did his foot touch the line? And is he out of bounds right there? We're going to have to come back and look at this one.
That was Gore who blocked the punt that just stripped it away.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Walmart, the first place to go on Black Friday.
Well, the play is under review. There always is when there is a turnover. Danny Gore, who blocked the punt on the last possession for the Lions, was the one who appeared to knock the football loose from Durham. And at least based on what we've seen, this looks like the correct call on the field, that he fumbled the ball.
He has control. He's in bounds, clearly. And I don't know that he actually hit. I think he just kind of spun it up there. I don't think the ball got hit at all. He's clearly in bounds. I was wondering if he stepped out of bounds. He did not. See, he never touches it. It just kind of, as he swings it around to put it under his arm, it just kind of comes out.
After review of the play, the Detroit receiver made a clean and solid catch with the ball. He then fumbled the ball. There was a solid recovery by the defense on the play. Therefore, the advance is legal. First down, Tampa Bay.
That looked like the right call, so although it won't go as a strip for Gore, he did make contact to the minimum with the arm of Durham. Back-to-back. Huge endings to series for this Detroit Lions offense. The block punt and now the fumble.
I always said the turnovers all day have been a key, notwithstanding the one huge drive with the big play down the middle to Tyquan Underwood. Now they're here in scoring position again due to a turnover.
Well, this is where you have a chance to put this game on ice. But you throw into traffic like that, they do draw the flag. Darius Slay, the rookie, appeared to climb the back of Underwood.
Prior to the pass, holding. Defense, number 30. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I know, Brian, you like to call it, the 4-minute offense. But now you're so deep in their territory. Turning the football over is certainly a recipe for disaster, and that has been the story today for the Lions.
And this is part of the equation for Tampa Bay. If they can stay in scoring position, at the minimum come out with a field goal, but bring down as much clock as they possibly can.
Well, they're going to go to the more powerful back now, and that would be Leonard. 225-pounder, and he spins his way down close to the 30-yard line. They'll mark it inside the 29.
This is exactly the kind of game plan Greg Schiano had to have coming in with this group. Rookie quarterback, power running game on the road against a division leader, or a team vying for the division lead. You're in the fourth quarter, up by 3.
Second down and 7 after the 3-yard run by Leonard. And now Wright is trying to get positive yardage. He will so to the 24, which brings up a 3rd down and 2 for Tampa Bay. This is a huge play, because granted, Detroit still does have 2-3 timeouts. You have the 2-minute warning, but all of a sudden you convert on a 3rd down here. Keep this drive alive, more time off the clock, the chance of a touchdown rather than a field goal. Biggest play of the game defensively right now for the Lions.
Maybe a little trap handoff inside.
And the rookie takes a sack rather than throwing it away all the way back to the 32-yard line, which will make this now almost a 50-yard field goal attempt.
Brian Lindell just missed a field goal attempt. At this point, it's not there, it's not there, it's not there. Throw the ball away. I know he's trying to make a play. There's nothing down the field. He's getting to the outside. Throw the ball away now. Do not take the sack and back me out into a tougher field goal position.
That is nearly an 8-yard loss. So now Lindell, who missed for just the 4th time all year. A 50-yard attempt that matches his season long. Out of the hold of Canaan. No good again. Lindell, a couple of chances to make it very tough on this Lions team, and he's missed them both. A 35-yarder after the block punt. After the fumble by Durham, he misses from 50. So all the Lions need is a field goal to tie it. A touchdown to go ahead. At first down, it's incomplete. Looking for a flag on Gore, which does not come. And both have been wide to the left.
You know, you tell a kicker just like a quarterback, I imagine the same with a golfer. Don't try to overcompensate. Your body will naturally compensate if you make a kick like that the first time. So don't overcompensate. Well, he didn't. He kicked it exactly the same place 2 times in a row.
Got to be a lonely feeling. 2nd down and 10 for the Lions. They are going against this battered and bruised and injury depleted Tampa Bay defense. And now it's Reggie Bush up to the 48-yard line. He's dragged down short of a first down. And we check in quickly with Joel Clack.
Tom, we go to Green Bay, and Jared Boykin catches this six-yard touchdown from Matt Flynn. That's right, Matt Flynn is back. They have the ball. They are driving. They're down 3 to Minnesota late. Tom.
All right, Joel, thank you. That's a big game for these Lions.
Last time we saw Matt Flynn, we were in Green Bay at the end of the year. 6 touchdown passes before he went on his trek around the NFL. Now he's back in Green Bay.
That was against these Lions. Final game of the year. Oh my goodness, on 3rd down and a yard.
Start. Offense, number 18. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Reggie Bush catches the ball in the flat. He's got a first down, tries to cut back, leaves him short for a 3rd and 1. Now the penalty, you're sitting there at 3rd and 6. Jim Schwartz looking down going, ooh, boy.
Well, he's seen that before.
He's not losing here. His is just going great.
So a 3rd down and 6. Clearly this is, well, one would assume, perhaps not easy to assume, 4-down territory. They do have 3 timeouts remaining. And it doesn't make any difference because this is Calvin Johnson inside the 35-yard line to the 34 and a first down.
Once again, Jonathan Banks, Jonathan Banks with no help. He goes into short motion. He crosses the field. He runs pretty good. Official cuts him off there a little bit, but who else are you going to go to but Calvin Johnson? Jonathan Banks doing a pretty good job.
Well, this entire defense is doing a great job. No Revis, no Goldson. We're playing guys like Kelsey McRae, Danny Gore, the rookie Banks. And this is Joy Bill. That'll be a gain of 3. They don't have Mason Foster. He suffered a concussion in the game last week. And yet they're holding a Detroit Lion team so far anyway that averages 27 points a game, 6 below that average.
And just one of those field goals changes the entire dynamic of this game because it's a 3-point differential right now as we get inside 2 minutes.
2 huge minutes for these Detroit Lions and perhaps their playoff fate.
Today's game is sponsored by the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 and Galaxy Gear.
12 times in the fourth quarter, a game-winning drive or overtime for Matthew Stafford. Most recently, the last time they played in this building, that thriller against the Dallas Cowboys. And now it's a 2nd down and 7, trailing by 3 from the 31-yard line. Stafford into the end zone and out of the end zone.
Now, Matthew Stafford has to be very careful here, much like Mike Glennon was not. They're in a makeable field goal. To take a sack at this point and backing it up, so it puts you in a difficult position that you're going to go for the first down, but you don't want to risk holding on to it too long, taking the sack and backing up your field goal kick.
Look at that last note. 10 points scored off Lions turnovers. The last 2 times they've gotten the football on a blocked punt and a Lions fumble, they've not scored a single point. That's why the Lions are within a field goal of tying this game up. And a flag comes in.
Oh, boy.
Got Gore back there. There were 3 receivers, 3 defenders, all in the same neighborhood. Let's see who they got.
I think it was Leonard Johnson on Nate Burleson.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 23. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Or Mark Barron.
It was Mark Barron on the inside.
They had a bunch of guys in the same zip code.
Joseph Fourier on the bottom here, right in here. And as he gets off the line, Mark Barron hooks him. Nice call by the official.
So an automatic first down. 94 penalties. That's what we talked about earlier.
All game long. And that's a tough one because that's an in-game penalty as opposed to a pre-snap or post-snap penalty. But still.
1:48 to go in Detroit. Reggie Bush dropped behind the line of scrimmage. That's big Gerald McCoy, the first one there.
Well, that's just a breakdown by Larry Wolford, the right guard. Looked like he was supposed to turn out on the outside and didn't. But lucky it's not a turnover. You get a free runner like that, typically that can be a turnover.
Right now you'd be looking at roughly a 48-yard field goal. Maybe a little less than that. And of course, David Akers has more than enough leg.
Lucky.
As he shares the NFL record for the longest field goal in league history. Stafford. And jarred loose. Johnson at it momentarily, and facing the defender, it looked like Hayward made contact to jar it out of there.
And he timed it perfectly. We see this all the time, right over the helmet of the linebacker. Nice job looking up just as it gets to Calvin Johnson's hands. You're going to see him jar the ball loose. Actually, a very nice throw.
That's Adam Hayward, who's getting a start today for the concussed Mason Foster. So now a 3rd down. At the very minimum, if you don't get the first, you'd love to get a little bit closer for David Akers. And now timeout by the Lions. Play clock down to 2 seconds. Brian, what do you do here? 1 minute left in the game. You're down by 3. And a 3rd down and 10. A 3rd down and more like 12.
Now, like we said, the priority is kind of like a physician. Do no harm. You're in position for a field goal. Make sure you don't take us out of field goal position as you take your shot down the field.
Let's check in quickly. A game break with Joel Klatt.
Tom, how about New York? MetLife Stadium and the Giants and the Cowboys getting all set. Temper at the 50-yard line. It's America's Game of the Week. It's next, and it's on Fox. Tom and Brian.
All right, Joel, thank you. David Akers this year, from beyond 40 yards, has not been as accurate as he has been for most of his career. He's been among the game's very best. 5 out of 8 from beyond 40 this season.
Calvin Johnson in the slot. He's been running inside routes all day. Maybe a corner route this time.
Stafford drifting, just throws it into the air, and it is intercepted after being deflected. Unbelievable. Calvin Johnson had it down inside the 5-yard line. The ball was popped out of his hands into the air, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers begin the celebration. Can you believe that?
What we start out by saying, do no harm. These are two of the strangest turnovers. I said he's in the slot. He's been running the inside route. He should run the corner. That's exactly what they did. They used his size. And just a great, great hit by Kelsey McCray. Calvin Johnson normally comes up with that right there. Banks just waiting for the gift. He's been beaten to the inside, thinks, oh my God, this is going to cost us. And oh, by the way, there's a ball right there.
You know, everything was so odd about that play. Stafford basically backpedaling, just threw the ball into the air and was hoping for a miracle. And generally that's answered by Calvin Johnson. But then to have the ball knocked loose as Detroit is coming hard on that snap. And remember, Tampa Bay's done this many times to other teams.
Yeah, Greg Schiano criticized for it roundly when they did that undercutting of the line, figuring, you know what, maybe we can force a turnover here. What teams are doing against this now is getting into a gun, snapping directly to the quarterback, which is risky in its own right.
This game is not over. I know a lot of the people are getting up and walking out of here. Detroit has, oh, I beg your pardon, they just used their second timeout. So now the Lions have one. You wonder about timeout sometime. A minute ago, prior to that interception, they had to call a timeout because the play clock was sitting at 2. Had they not had to burn that one, they would have a chance to get the ball back before the end of this game. This is just, well, a lot of Lions fans are going to say this is not a surprise. And it's not saying anything bad about the Lions, and a lot of these fans around here don't already know. It's almost as though you wonder, are you ready to handle success? They were 6-3 2 weeks ago, going against a 3-win Pittsburgh team and now a 2-win Tampa Bay team.
Well, Tom, we had them last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're around town. We're hearing the Detroit fans again. Boy, what a great opportunity. Pittsburgh, then we got Tampa at home. 2-game parlay, what that might do with our rivals, the Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears, both playing without their starting quarterback. Missed opportunities.
Coming up, the Pepsi game break. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy will have the scores and highlights from around the league. Fox Sports ticker up to the second scores and stats. And America's game of the week for most of you coming up between the Cowboys and the Giants. Five turnovers in this game, along with a blocked punt.
And the nature of them. We saw a tipped pass. We see a blocked punt. We see Durham here just basically flip the ball back up in the air. And then Calvin Johnson being separated from the ball. Yeah, sometimes fate takes a hand, but sometimes you put yourself in a position for just that to happen.
So after starting the year 0-8, Greg Schiano and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have now won 3 consecutive games, and the Detroit Lions, once a 6-3 team, are now 1 game above the 500 mark. And they're playing it 4 days from now right here on Fox. We now take you to the Pepsi game break. Right here is Kurt Menefee back in Los Angeles.